Hi, today I am going to explain a horror film, The Inhuman Kiss. The movie starts and we can see
four children named Sai, Noi, Jerd, and Tet are shown at the beginning of the film. They're all four kids going to the forest. There's a house in the forest where they stop. There was a popular news about the house as it was enchanted by the soul. And it kills that person who visits here at night. Hearing it, Jerd makes fun of it. Then these kids play a game of hide and seek. Then Sai and Noi hide themselves in the same house. Sai notices a box in that house. Peeping inside it, she finds nothing. But we observe a shadow of head at the back side of Sai. After many years, the same girl Sai is shown again who has grown up. Sai is sleeping on his bed at that time. Waking up, she sees the blood-stained bed. And she begins to clean it. Sai is dermatologist by profession. She is moving to hospital. Then she meets his beloved Jerd. Chasing her, he reaches in her hospital. Jerd expresses his love and tries to inspire her. He asks Sai to come with him because there is no one in the hospital at that time. Meanwhile, a lady reaches there with her wounded child. Sai treats him immediately. That lady informs Sai that her neighbor's hens have been victimized by Kresu. And that lady's husband tells Sai and Jerd that some villagers had caught the sight of Kresu. Kresu is a ghost spirit which appears in nights and victimizes the night wanderers and animals. That lady suggests them to close their doors plus windows in order to protect from Kresu. Sai tells Jerd that she misses Noi as they leave. And Noi is the same kid who had visited in that house with Sai at that night. Sai tells that she even does not know. Where is he? What will he doing? When Sai is dining with her grandparents at night, she comes to know that her father is going to guard from Kresu tonight. Coming there, Sai's friend talks about Jerd and her marriage with him. But Sai ignores such conversation. When Sai is taking rest at night, she dreams of the forest house in Kresu. Waking up in the morning, she again finds the blood-stained bed. And it was more than ever before. All windows were opened and Sai had wounded body. Sai is got worried thinking it. At the leaving time of hospital, Sai asks Jerd to come with her in that forest house. They meet their childhood friend Noi when they are moving to that house. There is also a crowd with Noi who are the hunters of Kresu who frighten the villagers telling Kresu stories. They tell as Kresu firstly victimizes the hens. When the hens are come to end, then they proceed to victimize the cows, buffaloes and goats. And after them, they hunt human beings to quench their hunger. The chief of Kresu hunters has brought the head of dead Kresu with him. He informs villagers that the water is also spelled in which Kresu spits. And any girl is transformed into Kresu if she drinks it. And in case of boy, his whole body is begun to ache. This severe pain takes his life. Hearing his story, villagers allow him to stay in village in terrible fear. And Sai arranges everything in hospital for Noi's stay. While Jerd and his friend provide Noi some secondary needs as clothes. On the other side, Sai was feeling awkward. And she says to Jerd that she wants to go alone. Saying it, she walks alone. Waking up in the next morning, she again discovers the blood-stained bed and also vomits blood. And Sai knows that someone has eaten the buffalo, putting it end. It was obvious, everyone's suspicion was on Kresu. Then Noi tells Sai, Jerd has also become the member of those hunters group. He explains to Jerd, they are wicked, don't attach with them, but Jerd does not value Noi's words. And he says, I have attached with this group for the protection of the villagers. Jerd visits Sai before going with the Kresu's hunters at night. He asks her to shut the doors and windows. Saying it, he leaves from there. Then Sai begins to feel awkward and severe pain. At first sight, Sai is transformed into Kresu. Here a fact comes on the surface that Sai was actually Kresu. Her every night dream was not just a dream but based on the reality. The son of Sai's friend was disappeared at the same while. And she moves to those Kresu hunters. And then Kresu, who is Sai, is seen flying in the air. and Hunter starts firing on her. And then Jerd brings that lady's son back. Kresu Sai is observed by Noi when she is returning back. Chasing her, Noi notices that she has entered in the room of Sai. Peeping through window, he is left astonished knowing that Sai is in fact Kresu. He is afraid. When Sai reaches at hospital next morning, she is saddened not finding Noi there. Noi had known the reality of Sai, as a result he has galloped in fear. Sai needs a support at this moment. But her friend leaves her. Noi has fallen asleep in terror going in a shrine. He asks from monk about Kresu. He says that this ghost is living with human beings for a long time but it is harmless. And these ghosts are not others but the human beings who spell through black magic. And their false way of enchantment have turned them into ghost. As a result, girls are transformed into Kresu while boys take the form of crane. Noi tells him that my closest is Kresu. Monk replies on it, don't take any emotional decision, you should decide by heart. Noi brings many dead hens for Sai when she is transformed into Kresu at night. Eating those hens, she does not move outside. Reaching at hospital next morning, Sai finds Noi there. She is pleased seeing him. After that, Noi used to bring many hens for Sai every night. So she does not feel need to go outside. Further, villagers are surprised because they have not seen Krause even after a month. Jerd is still with those hunters. While Noi is searching its remedy, putting his efforts. Monk tells Noi about a plant named Kresu herb. Eating it, a Kresu begins to turn into a normal being. Sai is treating a child in the hospital. Coming there, Noi offers juice to Sai. Taking it, she puts it aside. That child girls takes the leftover juice of Sai. Taking her leftover juice, that child girl is also spelled. She has also turned into Kresu. Observing the transformation of child girl, her parents are got upset. And they call the Kresu hunter. The chief of the Kresu hunters lures her of a dead lizard while calling. When that child girl is entrapped, they put her into death and take her heart out. Ted asks from parents, when has she transformed into Kresu? They say on it, she turned into Kresu when came from hospital. Now Ted suspects Sai as she is Kresu. And she is the cause of that child girl transformation into Kresu. Thinking on it, Sai is very upset as child girl has lost her life because of her. And she does not want to become the victim of these Kresu hunters like that child girl. And Noi remains with Sai even at this moment, and Sai requests him to go in forest with her. Bekwase Sai used to dream of that house every night. And Sai thought as the solution of this problem exists there. Ted notices Noi and Sai going there because he had kept an eye on Sai. Sai and Noi reach beside that house in that forest. And Sai gets that Kresu herb. Eating that herb, Sai feels comfort. Both are pleased because Sai will be released from that spell eating this herb. And she will be protected from hunting anything. Meanwhile, Kresu hunters and Jerd also arrive there. When Jerd observes their closeness, he starts beating Noi, losing his temperament. On the other side, Sai escapes taking that herb. She is chased by all hunters. Sai reaches in that house and comes near that box, stepping in. A flashback is revealed in her mind. As when they were playing hide and seek in their childhood, Sai was enchanted by that Kresu when she had hidden herself here. She also gets the knowledge of the catastrophe of Kresu. And Sai's memories is revived there. All hunters step into the house to end Sai. Sai is outraged seeing them. And she is turned into Kresu. She attacks on them one by one and finishes their 2 members. Hearing the gunfires, Jerd enters the house. He notices that Ted is nearly to shoot Sai. Jerd moves ahead to stop Ted. But Ted attacks on Jerd, getting angry. Jerd is badly wounded and loses his consciousness. A terrible storm is burst out because of the presence of Kresu. After a calmness, Noi takes Sai from there. Villagers come to know next day that many Kresu hunter members have been killed. And they have been killed by Kresu, not by anyone else. Villagers' bodies are also there among those dead people. Seeing them, villagers are outburst with anger. And then Ted reaches there taking wounded Jerd. Ted informs his parents that Kresu is responsible of his condition. When they reach in the forest chasing Kresu, then Kresu had killed 2 of their members. He also reveals this fact here as Sai is in fact Kresu. Hearing it, all villagers decide to kill Sai in the rude tone. And they run from there in anger. Noi becomes evident of their conversation and runs to Sai, so that he may protect her, telling the whole story. Sai is feeling pain and also searches those herbs. Noi also feels the same pain because of their closeness. At last, he is also enchanted. Sai's father forbids villagers and hunters of doing so. In return, they say that they will burn Sai's house and also puts her into death. At the same while, Sai's father calls Sai outside the house. Eating that herb, Sai is not transformed into Kresu, so comes outside. Ted is left astonished seeing her normal state. He blames Sai for villagers' death and a being Kresu. On the contrary, Sai blames Ted and his companions. She reveals as they had kidnapped her last night and tried to wrong with me. She says Jerd has saved me from their clutches. So Ted has to escape from there. Reaching in his house, Jerd sees that Ted is hidden there. Ted attacks on him biting. After being bitten, Jerd is also spelled and transformed into Crane. As boys are transformed into Crane while girls are Kresu after it. Ted himself was Crane, so he used to take the heart out of everyone after killing. There is a tangled story behind this happening. Crane is actually a devil whose wife is Kresu. Once she has fallen in love with a human being. Kresu is escaping with the human being, but Crane puts them into death catching. He takes the heart out of Kresu. So there is burning fire of revenge in the heart of Crane from that day. Now Sai does not transform into Kresu because she continues to eat that herb every night. While Noi tries to get its remedy, Jerd's condition was worsened, and his parents are worried seeing him. Ted burns all those plants, eliminating the remedy of Sai's normal state. 2 herbs were left, so they have no other solution. And Noi also fails to find its medication. Getting rid from such situation, Noi offers Sai to leave to Hong Kong with him. Sai moves to Jerd's house, but she is saddened finding him in such condition. Jerd tells her that I know, you are Kresu, I knew it at that time when you forbade me to come with you. And I have seen you eating buffalo. It was the cause behind joining the hunters group. So that he may protect Sai from villagers. Jerd insists Sai to stay with him. When Noi is waiting for Sai after a complete preparation of escape. Then Sai is also ready to depart. Then Sai's father arrives there. He takes her at the place where villagers are present. He takes Sai there for her and villagers' safety and also preventing her from the label of Kresu. On the other side, Ted provokes Jerd saying that Sai is escaping with Noi and deceiving you. He continuously provokes Jerd. He is outraged and transforms into Crane. Sai's pain is also started. The most problematic thing was this, she had no any herb now. Suddenly, she is transformed into Kresu in front of everyone. Villagers are frightened and start firing on her. Sai flies to the forest direction. They decide to burn Sai's body to get rid from Kresu while attacking. Further, Sai's father attempts hard to stop them of doing it. Meanwhile, Ted and Jerd, who are formed into Crane, also arrive there. Jerd catches Kresu. Noi reminds him the reality of Sai, who is now Kresu. So he may not harm her. Then Ted attacks on Sai with the aim to finish her. Jerd fights with Ted for rescuing Sai. On the other side, villagers leave Sai's body wounded badly while beating. There is a great fight between Ted and Jerd. At last Ted takes Jerd's heart out, tearing him. Sai's father and Noi keep away the villagers from Sai's body. Monks arrive there as Ted is nearly to end Sai. They put Ted into death, making him target. Monk asks Noi to reach at the bank of river with Sai's body. He does the same as he reaches at the bank of river, taking Sai's body. Then Jerd's parents and some villagers pursue them. Reaching at the bank of river, Noi places Sai's body in the boat. At the same time, he is also saying to Sai that everything will be alright. We will lead to Bangkok where you will be recovered after treatment. If it is seen, Sai's body was badly injured, so it was difficult to put her soul into her body. Seeing the passionate love and faith of Noi, Kresu, which is actually a ghost spirit, starts shedding tears. It cuts the anchor rope of the boat so that they may reach in Bangkok. On the other side, Noi is continuously crying because it is the time of separation of both. Meanwhile, Sai receives a bullet fired by Jerd's father. Noi, great beloved of Sai, observes the death of Sai before his eyes and loses her forever. Here the movie completes with an unhappy. This movie was released in 2019. This movie's IMDb rating is 6.5 out of 10. The movie Rotten Tomatoes has 88 fresh or Metacritic 27 and 90 Google users like this movie. I hope you will like the film explanation. If you like this video, please like, subscribe and comment on this video.